Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MichMusic Now. I'm Michele Weir. I'm here with Sara Gazarek.
That was great.
Thank you. I practiced saying her name about 10 times. I actually Googled it before I came here.
Don't trust anything you find online.
I'm telling you, people don't know how to spell that name. And so, it led me to wonder, if the K is silent or the Z is an S sound or there's a silent E or an umlaut. Mm-hmm. You want to, who knows?
I've gotten a lot of different ones. Gazarek, Garbarlik. There's usually like an extra L for some reason. I even got Gonzalez at a doctor's office once.
I used to think it was Gazarek.
Gazarek, the extra R. I've gotten that many times.
Yeah.
Technically, it rhymes with guitarlick.
Guitarlick.
So Gazarek.
Okay.
Gazarek.
Guitarlick. Yeah. I always remember Newfoundland. They made us say, understand, Newfoundland.
Oh.
That's the way you say
Newfoundland.
it. So little mnemonics games. Anyway, yes, so we're going to go, so I hope, Sara and I, on a walkie-hikey, if I may say that, in the neighborhood shortly. But before that, I have one question for you.
Great.
You're a jazz singer, I understand. And by the way, there's a new CD coming, I think, which probably has a name.
Doesn't have a name yet.
It doesn't have a name?
We just finished tracking, yeah. So now it's a matter of picking songs and the name, but it'll come.
Guitarlick.
Yeah. Sarah and the Guitarlicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the band.
Okay, well, anyway, it is coming soon, so watch for that. But let's talk about scat singing a little bit. Mm-hmm. A popular topic, an enigma to many, something that a lot of people love to do and want to learn about and crave to learn about and are compelled to learn about in their, institutions, like people that are jazz majors at universities or, private schools. And sometimes a singer may not feel that inclined. Like they may be like, hey, Billie Holiday didn't scat sing. Why must I? And I would like to know your view on that and how it is for you, if you enjoy doing, syllabic-based scat singing or if you do something else.
Yeah. Well, what I think I can speak from in terms of my experience is what I felt when I was a student in school, and then what I experience most of my students now that I'm an educator, what they seem to experience, which is similar. Ultimately, what I find and what I found was that there's this value system that's in place in jazz academia, seems to be in place, on whether or not someone is an accomplished melodic improviser. A lot of time and energy is spent in jazz academia on listening to, transcribing, and applying melodic improvisation, right? There are years and years of...
You mean like improvisation the same way the players learn it?
Yeah,
right?
so like taking the chord progression and coming up with a new melody, right? And so... a lot of the lessons and classes and different things are kind of built around this idea that in order to be a valuable jazz musician, you have to be able to melodically improvise. And so what I found and what I find is that my students feel like they are undervalued or they are not valuable because they can't do it at the level that these instrumentalists are doing it, right? And so they have their tail between their legs and think, I'm not worthy because I can't do what they can do, if they're judging themselves on that specific value system. And so they spend a ton of time either just throwing themselves into these improv solos and doing their best, or kind of locking themselves in the practice room and, writing out the guide tone lines and doing all the stuff. But I do find, as you said, this idea that I have to improvise on every song, otherwise I'm not a jazz singer, right? And if I don't do it well, I'm not a valuable jazz singer. But what I would say to that is acknowledging that if you love it, it takes time. It takes a lot of time, years and years and years of understanding and study and developing that vocabulary to be able to be that present in the moment. But ultimately, at its core, in my belief, jazz comes down to authenticity, development of skill on one's own instrument, and vocabulary, musically speaking, so that one can be present and authentic and expressive in any given moment, right? So it's not about developing these improvisatory tools to get up on stage and do like the most killing, amazing solo ever, right? Like that's fun, sure, to witness, but it doesn't linger. You know, it's fun to watch someone tear things up, even a horn player, but I would much rather be moved, you know, and even Bill Evans was quoted as saying something to the effect of, you know, all of the notes and study comes down to being able to jump over the other side of that fence and actually express something with the skill set that you've developed.
I'm so with you.
Yeah.
And Bill Evans.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. And so what I found, you know, was that when I was a young student, I was really frustrated and I felt really bad about myself because it was something that did not come easily to me. And it was something that didn't excite me, you know? And so I felt like I have to do this, otherwise I'm bad. Meanwhile, I would lock myself in the practice room and just analyze Carmen McRae's eyebrows on a ballad, you know, or like Nancy Wilson's inner pocket of her eye, or Betty Carter's right hand, you know, and when I would talk to my friends, I would watch their diction and ask myself, why do I know that this person is happy? Why do I know that this person is in love? Why do I know that this person is really sad about something, right? And I recognized that in every human interaction, every single day, we're improvising, right? Like we are, like you and I are improvising in this moment. I didn't practice the like this thing and I say you and I, you know, like I didn't practice that vocabulary. This is improvisational vocabulary that we use on a daily basis, right? And if jazz is about improvisation, authenticity, developing tools and skills in order to be as authentic as possible, I recognized that like the vocabulary that I was studying in college and that moves me and excites me is the physical and emotional vocabulary that we use when we're interacting with other people, right? And so what I started to think about was like, if I'm improvising and I'm improvising on a lyric, right? And I'm singing, you know, pack up all my care and woe, here I go, singing low, bye bye blackbird, right? Like that's not improvised. It's not improvised because I know what the lyric is and I know what the melody is and I know what the rhythm is, right? But you could say the same thing about blowing over chord changes. You know what those chords are. You know what the vocabulary is that works over those chords. It's just that you are utilizing vocabulary in that moment to be spontaneous.
To say what you want to say.
Exactly. And so the same thing could be said about this expressive vocabulary in being present with the diction, vocal quality, facial expression, body language, all these other tools, maybe melody, maybe rhythm, that would lead me to a place where I can be improvisatory in the delivery of a lyric, right? And it could be me changing the lyric. No, sorry. It could be me changing the melody. It could be me changing the rhythm. But I feel like more than anything, what an audience is going to latch onto is whether or not they feel something. And they might feel something if I land on a sharp 11, right? But they also might feel something if I'm actually feeling something, right? And that was another like moment when I realized that people aren't there to be impressed. They're there to feel something. And they don't want to watch me feel something or watch the portrayal of me feeling something. They want to be allowed the space to feel while I'm feeling, right? So like if I'm thinking about this guy who cheated on me while I'm singing Never Will I Marry, and that comes across that I'm like angry and frustrated and hurt and vulnerable, and that's why I don't want to be married. There might be a woman in the front row who's thinking like, yes, when I was this age, I felt that, or I'm also feeling that right now. No one is coming to be, you know, wow, Sara Gazarek's beautiful voice. They're coming to be allowed the space to process their own stuff.
So you're the conduit, in a sense, by virtue of you feeling it actually genuinely yourself. It's the door is open and there's an invitation then for other people to go, oh, wow, I really feel that too.
Yeah, me too. Right. Exactly.
It's a me too.
It's a Me Too moment. It's a Me Too moment.
It's a different kind of Me Too.
Yeah. And there is something to be said about, you know, an amazing improviser. Like when I watch Darman Meter or Michael Mayo, you know, improvise.
Michael Mayo, just saying. And Darman Meter, of course, but Michael Mayo's newer.
Yeah.
Check him out.
Right. My jaw is on the floor. Like it's like similar to watching Bobby McFerrin. I'm witnessing something that I cannot do, and it's shocking and it's beautiful, and I'm moved. And the reason why it's beautiful and that I'm moved is that these people are expressing themselves in a way that they're utilizing tools that excite them and that they've mastered, and that are improvisatory vocabulary. It is an improvisatory vocabulary that they're implementing in a musical way. It's not the only way to improvise, is the point. That improvisation and authenticity are at the core. So finding what excites you and utilizing that vocabulary and moving forward, recognizing that the way that Michael Mayo practiced improvisation or Darman Meter practiced improvisation is on the same level that I practiced improvisation. It was just a different avenue, right? That like they're looking at the melody and the substitutions and the lines and the licks and you know, the melodic vocabulary as such. And it's absolutely valuable. But I would say to any young singer or just singer in general, it's not any more or less valuable. Whether or not you can scat sing does not dictate, or want to scat sing does not dictate your value or worth as an actual, like, you know, heavyweight jazz singer.
Okay, that's going to come as a relief to a lot of people, actually, I think. And
but if you look at, like, the number one jazz singer in the country right now is Cecile McLaurin-Salvant. I've never heard her scat sing once.
Yeah.
You know, but what she does do...
Billie Holiday.
Holiday.
You know.
Yeah, and what both Billie Holiday and Cecile McLaurin-Salvant do is express a feeling and an emotion with a broad range. I mean, on the level of like a Sarah Vaughan, a broad range of colors and tones and textures within the voice that is absolutely improvisatory. You know, like she just has mastered the art of her own instrument to be able to call upon certain placement or resonance or vocal cord connectivity to express a concept and a feeling in that moment. And I think it's valuable.
Good. When we worked together in Monterey this last year, you know, and I got a chance to see you in action teaching, which I haven't really had that opportunity too much. I was really, I really enjoyed it very much, and I was very just impressed with your ability to express yourself well, to find pertinent, genuine topics, you know, and things that you wanted to mentor the students on, and your ability to communicate in a way that it really got through to them. And it was really at a high musical level. So
thank you.
Go, Sarah. I mean, I just admire your teaching technique, and I think your students are probably very lucky to have you.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Oh, thank you. And I take it you then choose to not scat too much. I mean, like the official Scooby-Doo scatting or ooh-ah scatting too much in your performances, right?
There are two songs in the world that I like scatting on. And those are songs that I have studied and sung, you know, hundreds of times, and, you know, could sing the root progression backwards and forwards in my sleep, and, you know, have done all of the work to understand how the chords move. I've transcribed multiple solos on both of those songs. I'm able in that moment to be 100% present with what's happening around me with the musicians to collaborate on something new, right? But the amount of time and energy that it took to do that, you know, is something that I haven't done for every song, you know, and or even want to do on every song. A lot of times it's just enjoyable to know that, like, this horn player has an incredible approach to this harmonic thing, and so I want him to do it, you know, and I could just sit back and, you know, take the emotion to the next level. And then when I come back in with the lyric, it's a totally different thing, and it's another way to improvise and collaborate.
That's cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Sara Gazarek. Thanks everybody for watching, and let's go on a hike now.
Yep.
Want to?
Yep.
Okay, cool. See you next time, everybody. Thanks.